Next, I will talk to you on resource mobilization for research. Resource mobilization refers to all activities involved in securing new and additional resources for the organization. It also involves making better use of and maximizing existing resource uses. Resource mobilization is often referred to as new business development. The financial resources are mobilized for higher education systems, focusing on two basic questions all systems must answer. These are: what level of financial resources should be raised for higher education? And secondly, where will these resources come from? Thus, resource mobilization could be seen as a combination between resources, mechanisms, and partners. So, resources, when we say, these are the elements necessary for the running of an organization. When we say mechanisms, these are the means which make it possible to obtain resources directly. Partners are persons or institutions providing resources. Every organization can develop a code of conduct on resource mobilization, which should specify what are the resource providers that one would like to expand relationship with and what type of resources should be mobilized. Then, resource mobilization for research is a very important part, and there should be a strategic plan for resource mobilization, which should say the operational plan or annual plan. What are the new opportunities available for resources? You have to draft the plan, then you have to execute the plan along with writing grant proposal and submission. Then resource mobilization needs certain other things. You should have clear-cut objectives. So you should identify your objectives, prepare a research mobilization plan based on your objectives, get it approved from the agency, from your institute as well as from other grant proposal agencies, then implement it, monitor and evaluate it. Then why we need resources for our development or resources for research and how we will do it. That is very important. In order to continue with its work and achieve the works and targets, an institution requires resources. So we need to go for resource mobilization. In order to begin or plan for new work, in order to enhance or maintain relationship with the community and individuals, then government organization, private organization or donor agencies may help for resource supply. For the development of various conditions of the organization, we need resources. Then it requires a resource mobilization process. In that, it includes resource mapping, landscape chart, donor mapping, donor approach, other obtained resources, and once you get the resources, evaluate it. Then importance of resource mobilization. I wanted to repeat this. Diverse and expand the resources, then helps to have independent budget for various developmental activities, to break the tradition of running a specific program alone. For example, in a medical college, you may have a Bachelor of Medicine and Surgery and a PG program and super specialties. If you wanted to start a fellowship, which is not in the realm of university or affiliation, you create it. It may be your brainchild, but you need resources for starting such a program. So we need to mobilize resources for such programs. Then it helps to run the program of interest to the organization or their likes. I can tell you an example. When we wanted to start GDA, General Duty Assistant for the hospital, we were not having resources for that. We tried to mobilize the resources from other agencies, like our CSR activities of the Aster DM Healthcare and all. We got some money and we started this GDA program for assisting nurses in the hospital. So once we prepare such people, they will be of great asset for the institute. So we need resources for such programs. Then decrease dependency on others. Once you have resources, you need not depend on others for your needs. Then you can contribute for the sustainability of the organization, and once you get a lot of resources from other areas, You can maximum use of domestic capital and skills can be done. Then fundamentals of resource mobilization. First of all, you should know what are the types of resources you require. In this now, when we think about resources, somebody may be willing to donate some library books to your library in your institute. This is type of resource. You get it. Then defining resource mobilization and its scope. Then resource mobilization process must be followed. Then challenges to resource mobilization process must be known to you. Resource mobilization pyramid using Pareto principle of 80 and 20. Moral aspect of mobilization must be there. You should not go for illegal or crooked way to mobilize money and resources and use it. So there should be a moral aspect kept in this. Then value and importance of resource mobilization should be there. Resource mobilization and financial management are the very essential attribute in any organization. And this resource mobilization is very important for organizational self-sufficiency and organizational sustainability. Then resource mobilization has its own issues. Everybody may not get resources from different sources. For example, when you write for a grant from ICMR, it's very difficult to get. Only then you should know the core area. You should have a principal investigator who is familiar with getting a grant and all those things like that. So contemporary higher education institutions have been asked to produce different mix of outputs than those in the previous decades, to take wider responsibility for nurturing innovation in firms and to develop deeper engagement with the communities. This institution requires resources, and this is the norm today, not like before, making some nurses, preparing some doctors. Not only that, you should have wider responsibility, and people above you will be asking such a result. There you should have resources for making such results. Then expected to produce more and more better research outputs than the past. Then higher education institutions work with more costly inputs than before, including new type of learners who expect or require supports and services not previously on offer, an aging and more costly higher education workforce, an increased number of executives and professional managers who are needed to carry out the wider scope of responsibility now borne by institutions. This is very evident. When we were students, we know that our teachers used to come with notes written on papers, will be dictating notes to the classroom, and people make fun of teachers transferring notes from the faculty's notes to the students' notes. Now it is not like that. There are a lot of technological improvements. We have to teach. Nowadays the students want separate things, not like before. And you may be thinking about your school days. How was the school? If you go to a school now, you will see that a high-tech school is there, and with all the technological advancement in the classroom. So learners require all these things now. So resource mobilization is a very important aspect, and this makes an issue for people now. So we have only, as I have mentioned earlier, self-financing institute, if you think, they have only income coming from the tuition fees of the students. So student fees plays a larger role than in the past. Higher education institutions have also been spurred to make improvements to physical infrastructures and amenities, and these aspects of higher education increasingly influence the choice of fees-paying learners. Finally, like other industries, higher education institutions have found it difficult to produce learning, research and engagement output more efficiently than in the past. They suffer from what they have been termed as Baumol-Coast disease. I hope you may be knowing about Baumol and Bowen, 1966. They have written about Baumol-Coast disease. This is coming from the American economist. The Baumol-Cost disease or the Baumol effect is the rise of salaries in jobs that have experienced no or low increase of labor productivity in response to rising salaries in other jobs that have experienced higher education in their growth. The phenomenon was described by William Jack Baumol in 1960s and is an example of higher educational finance management. We all know that the fees is not increased. We have to give increment for the teachers. We may need money for giving or sponsoring teachers to go for conferences. The fixed fees every year is not increased. So every year giving increment for the same work which the teachers do is a difficult thing for an institution. That is why they call us this William Jack Baumol has mentioned it as a Baumol effect. This is very pertinent in the higher education sector in our country. So resource mobilization is the only choice for all the institutions, and this is considered as one of the quality indicator of making money for the institute. Then funding resources in higher education. We know that in a government setup, public expenditure on higher education is from taxpayers' money. But if a private expenditure by household refers to expenditure on higher education by the students and their families, that is the money spent by the family for their children's education, like tuition fees, purchase of book, hostel fees, transport, and so on. So they are also spending. Government is paying from the tax, and the self-financing institute is fully depending on the tuition fees which is provided by the students to the institute. Then the institute can make money through apprentice training by private agencies, privately funded grants and scholarships, etc. So what indicators we will see in this as a quality marker? In addition to the usual budget, what all financial resources or what type of resources, not only financial, equipment, furniture, making a building by alumni, making a wing by a classroom by somebody, PTA, contribution by the PTA, all these can be a resource coming to your institute. So when you go for quality assessment on resource mobilization part, you can look at the resources coming from other sources, not only the budget and the fees, the other resources coming to the institute through other means like a corpus fund, then donations in the terms of finance, physical infrastructure, equipment, books, scholarship from various agencies, sponsorship from various agencies. All these things can be looked into as quality indicators for resource mobilization. Thank you.